So now we're going to get into the finish. And again, this is a finish is a byproduct of your control. We're talking about control and that incapacitation from the pin, and I can't reiterate that enough. I'm sounding like a broken record. It's really important. So now we get to the point where we just add a little extra pressure, and I'm going to talk about going back to that idea of more deliberate pressure and then dynamic torque, and transitioning between that. Actually, in subsequent lessons, we're going to talk about tactical finishing. For now, we're just going to get it in stages. And again, this is going to be leg side pit stop finish, okay, which is my primary finish. That's why I'm starting with it first. I would say if you look at the way I finish arm locks, about at least 60% of them are from this attack alone. That's a huge number, depending or understanding how many different variables are involved and how many different ways to counter your opponent's counters and trying to finish. But again, it goes back to that proper control of that arm. And anytime I'm reaching in, my chest goes to that elbow so that I can really reach in. And this is momentarily because I'm vulnerable here, right? Because my back's off the ground. So then I pull this, right? Thumb in line with the arm, really get it into that valley, and I slowly put my ear. And if you do this, if you just grab this, again, he's not resisting, but just try this. Put your ear to the ground and just maintain this as it's kind of like a stiff 2x4 that's gaining leverage, that fulcrum leverage. I can already start feeling the pressure. And if we look at why is this so powerful, multiple things going on. First, he has an RNC grip. Okay, so I'm nerding out on what I respect as a counter measure to this position is an RNC grip, like he's doing an RNC. And if he does an RNC really strong, it strengthens my fulcrum pressure. If he relaxes, I just take the arm home with me anyway, but it loosens that pressure, and you'll feel that. Play with that, because that's going to go right into what I call the fulcrum finish, okay? So again, he's pressurizing this, okay? And at the start of the seminars, many times, they got this down towards the end, they don't even want to deal with it anymore, and that's the idea of how powerful it is. So I bring this arm in, he's pressured here, put my ear on the ground. Just put my ear on the ground. Now, as I do this, this transitions, this lock, this closed guard lock opens up, and I post my right foot on the ground and pull his head off the ground slightly, and my head goes here. I'm just gonna back it up right here. So my ear kind of goes to the ground a little bit, my elbow goes up and maintains pressure. Now what I like is to put that head up because I want a contrast. I want to pull his head up and then I want to kick it back down. Okay, so I'm going deliberate, nice and relaxed, transitioning to that dynamic torque, disrupting the spine, almost like a strike, which makes it very difficult for him to hold on to his arm. When I'm kicking that head back and pulling the arm in the opposite directions, you have a conflict of pressure. Okay, again, going back to that wire is going to snap with that tug of war. So the idea is here, and if it doesn't, upon putting my ear on the ground, sometimes again it snaps previous to that. If it doesn't, then I'm going to do what I call the fulcrum finish, which essentially is to ignite that pressure, kicking with my hip, popping this fulcrum on my own body simultaneously. Okay? Once my right foot touches down, I should have the arm free. Now, once it's free, what I like to do on strong people, notice the elbows on my body here, is maintain this bar of the arm. Now, if I feel they're not very strong, because there's a little bit of tactical parts to this, like there's no one single grip, and this is what I want to point out, in arm locks, that is the all holy grail of grips. There's no such thing. If you want to be a proper arm hunter, then you have to adjust with your opponent. Your opponent is alive, they're going to make decisions, they're going to move, and you have to stay engaged in that. You have to tap into that. Just because I got this far does not mean I'm going to finish. Especially pressurizing it, the difference between rolling in the academy or drilling it non-resistant, rolling in the academy, and then competing at a high level. Those are all three different things. Okay, so again, this is tested at the high level in judo and jiu-jitsu in my career. So when I pop this open, doesn't mean I have anything. And so I cool my jets. I'm just doing a job. I'm clocking in, clocking out. I'm just doing my job. I'm robotic about this. I'm not emotional. Okay? So I'm just doing a job. I'm popping this. Once it pops, a couple things I can do. If I feel I have him, then I'll do an arrowhead. Okay, I call this the arrowhead grip, where essentially I'm single arm choking. Now, what's the advantage of this? The advantage of course, is I have only one arm dedicated to the finish. The advantage is I have another arm dedicated to continuing keeping him close to me. The disadvantage is I'm dividing my forces. There's no one way in life in this case, okay? I very much like this. Sometimes it doesn't work. If you notice also the mechanics of an arm lock, the thumb is in direct relation or opposite relation to the elbow. I used to call this the Fonzie roll. Cool people tap. Okay, he's giving thumbs up, he's going to tap. If that thumb, even if he has it down, the knuckle starts turning towards the head, then I'm going to start losing him. So what's really good about this pit stop finish, this fulcrum finish, is it's pointed at a cant towards the legs to avoid that rolling and me having to transition, which I don't like, to omoplata or whatever, okay? So the first part is I'm barring, keep the arm, slide, and then my hips. I keep my right leg tight, my heel goes to my body, my hips, and I extend my hips right at that moment where I'm finishing. Again, the stars have to align on this. My right foot, what's the benefit of my right foot being flat? It's not just pulling the head to me. To be honest, I don't want the head to me in this case too much. What I do want, though, is to recruit leverage off the ground, posting my right foot flat on the ground so that I can extend my hips and override somebody who has a flexible elbow, or somebody who is trying to win prize money in an event. Right here, that's what I want, okay? That's one way to finish. If I get someone super tough, then I finish this way. Same idea, transition, we become friends, pull my leg up, everything's the same except I let go of the leg. Now I'll keep the wrist like I'm grabbing his hand, and then I'll slide up. So I have one controlling here and then one arrowhead. So I'm doing a combination too. The third way would be using doubling up on the wrist, not rocket science, keeping that cant where that thumb knuckle is, direct opposite line of pressure for the elbow to hyperextend, and I'm bridging my hips.